Hello everyone, welcome to the monthly current affairs series of Amrita IS, and we are starting with the art and culture section. So the first one is temple and architectures in use. Just like the other one, we have restructured the way we cover art and culture as well. So we'll divide the section into few sections and we'll remain consistent with respect to the sections going forward, right? The first one is Lingaraj temple. Now before discussing this temple, let me discuss that temples in your static art and culture is also very important. What are the things that are really important when it comes to the temples? First, when they were established, so they can ask you to arrange the famous temples chronologically. Famous temples, under which ruler they have been built. What are the any specific characteristics for which they are famous, right? So these are the few things, and there are hardly 20 to 25 temples that are there that are really important. Okay, and you just need to make a list of those temples, and you'll get at least one question out of this. Okay, okay. So for example, Lingaraj temple. So what is it? So why it's in the news? Because Odisha government has decided to give a facelift to a 11th century Lingaraj temple. So what you got to know that Lingaraj temple was built in the 11th century. Okay. Now within the Lingaraj temple, there is a lake also. The lake name is Bindu Sagar Lake. Okay, so there is one more fact related to it, that there is a lake named as Bindu Sagar Lake which is within the temple premises. Now, let us see few things. First, the Lingaraj temple built in 11th century CE by the king Jajati Keshwari. That is not important. What is important, that which dynasty they have built. So which dynasty has built that? Soma Vanshi dynasty. Now see, this dynasty is not famous. But how the question will be asked? Lingaraj temple was built up by the, for example, Kharavela dynasty or XYZ dynasty, that very famous dynasties. For example, Pala dynasty has built it. So you just need to know that this is being built by some dynasty which is not very famous, Soma Vanshi dynasty. And later on, Ganga dynasty has added some of the things into the temple. It is a very good example of the Kalinga type of architecture. The Kalinga type of architecture is a subset of the Nagara architecture. Static mein you must be preparing Nagara versus Dravida. The part of the Nagara, for example, Kalinga school is a subtype of the Nagara school of architecture. Now, there are a few things which are important. In the Lingaraj temple, the ling that is said to be Swayambhu, that is self-originating. It originated self. So that is the belief that is there. More importantly, the Shiva is worshipped as the Harihara, means we can see the syncretization of the Shaivites and the Vaishnavite here. So this is an important one. So unlike where the Shiva is only treated as Shiva, here the Shiva is worshipped as Harihara. So it's a syncretization between the Shaivism and the Vaishnavism. It's built in the red stone. It has two main halls, if you see. First one, that is the on which the Sanctum Sanctorum is there, that is Garbhagriha. So that is Vimana. So above the Sanctum Sanctorum, the Vimana is built. Then you have the second one, that is Jagmohana. Then you have the next one, that is the Natya Mandir. And then you have the Bhogamandap, hall of the offerings. So this is the festival hall, this is hall of the offerings, this is the assembly hall, and this is the Garbhagriha. You know that the southern Indian temple, including the Odisha temple, they were so big temples. These temples were not only the religious, they do not serve only the religious purpose, but also the socio-cultural purpose as well. So you can see in the engraving, the carvings that are there on the walls of the temple that are there. Now, first of all, there are a few things that we need to know. For example, that this Shikhara, this Vimana that goes inside like this, it goes directly curved, then sharply it curves inwards. Okay, and then this is formed. This is the Vimana. This shape is known as, this is the Vimana. and this is the shikhara. Okay, so shikhara is in the shape of the, it is called dual, and based upon that different names are given. Okay, now mandapa is the jagmohana, three different styles that are there in the Kalinga system, that is the rekha dul, pida dul and khakra dul. Now one time question has been asked, I think in test series or otherwise, rekha, pida dul or khakra dul, what are these things? It was an easy question. It was a subtype of the Kalinga school of architecture. Examples of the Kalinga school of architecture, that is Lingaraj temple, Jagannath Puri temple, Sun temple, and we'll read those temple if it comes in the current affairs. So these are the three types. First, Rekha Dul, Garbhagriha or the Khakra Dul. The way they have arranged their Shikhra. Okay, right. So next is the performing arts. First is the festivals, that is Onam. Now Onam festival, very important festival in the state of Kerala. It's a harvest festival celebrated from 22nd August to 2nd of September. 22nd August to 2nd of September. It's basically 10 days. Over the period of 10 days they celebrate this. Okay. Now the festival is celebrated to welcome the king Mahabali, whose spirit is said to visit Kerala at the time of Onam. And it is believed that when he comes to the state of Kerala, he brings with himself a lot of prosperity. It is also known as the festival of the paddy harvest. Okay. So Asura King Mahabali. King Mahabali has fought against the Vamana, that is the avatar of the Vishnu. Now you see, very differently, we have always seen the story of good versus the god versus the Asurs, right? In which the god wins. While in the Onam, you have just the opposite. Here the praise is done by the Asur. You see, a lot of historians see this as a struggle between the Aryan versus the Dravid as well. So for example, these are the Aryan god. Some of the historians have this belief. And the Dravida were represented by the Aryans as Asurs. Hence, you see in the south that these being the victors, the Asura king, that is Mahabali. For our exam purpose, what we need to remember? First of all, that Mahabali is an Asur. He belongs to Asur tribe. And there are a few festivals, events that are associated with the festival Onam, which are important. Pokkalam, Vallamkali, Pullikali, Kummathatikati, Unathadu, and Onam Sadhya. I'll be pronouncing some of them wrong, really wrong, because I don't know how they are correctly pronounced in the local language. But these are the names which are important. Specifically, this is important. Vallamkali is important, and this one is Ona Thalu is important. Let us see, by diagram you are able to relate. For example, Pulikali is a tiger dance. You can see tiger dance. Then this is Pokalam, that is a rangoli made up of the festival of flowers. Then you have the one elephant as well, elephants and the procession also. Then you have the Vallamkali, the snake boat race, Nehru boat race, very famous. We all have seen in the NCRTs also this diagram. Then you have the mask dance, that is the Kummatikali. And then you have the martial art form, that is the Unathalu. So from diagram you are able to relate, I hope. Because they can ask, for example, 2 to 3 such name, and they can ask what are these. So Unnathalu is a martial art form. Kummatikali, that is a mask dance. Then you have the Vallamkali, that is a boat race. Then you have the Pokalam, that is the festival of flowers. And you have the this Pulikali, that is the grand tiger dance. Okay. Pulikali, very quickly. So it's a recreational folk art of the state of Kerala. It is known as from the name itself, it is known as the play of the tigers. Okay. Let's move on. Let's discuss some GI tags. First is the Pokkali rice. Pokkali rice is having a GI tag first of all, and why it's famous? It is because it's a salt water resistant variety. It has a potential to survive the floods. Okay, now it was in the news because it is being basically being done in the districts of Kerala, Ernakulam, Thrissur, and Alappuzha districts of Kerala. Now it was in the news because your in West Bengal, they are trying to experiment with this Pokkali rice, and they have come up with a new variety of it. Okay, so that variety is also known as the Vitila 11. So remember this name as well. So what is this? Vitila 11. Vitila 11 is nothing but a variety of Pokkali rice. What they are used for? Basically having the cultivation of rice where there is a lot of flooding, because in the case of the flooding the salt water concentration increases, hence that will create problem and the grains will not be produced. But this variety is such that it can overcome the onslaught of the flood, and hence they become very very important going forward also. For example, fighting with climate change, है ना, in the all these things this becomes very important. Your disaster and your floods are increasing, so in that regard also it becomes very very critical. So what you need to remember, Pokkali rice, and second is the Vitila 11 variety. ठीक है, चलो. And it is now being done in the Sundarbans as well. Now they are done in the Sundarbans as well, in this area of the Sundarbans, because now, for example, cyclone Amphan has come. When the cyclone Amphan has come, a lot of places are now flooded, have been flooded in West Bengal. Hence they need these kinds of variety to sustain their agriculture. Next, Kandhamal Haldi from this region of Odisha. Acha, GI tags are also, those are important. From the name itself you cannot guess from which state they are in. For example, this one, Kandamal Haldi, we don't know from which state it is in. Similarly, the Pokkali rice, you may guess that's from south or it's from Kerala, but still you cannot get it right from the, for example, Darjeeling tea, that is from Darjeeling. But from these GI tags, those GI tags becomes more important. Those are from a particular, from the name itself you cannot guess the particular state. Now this Kandamal Haldi, first of all, people are still thinking that some people have said that this have healing power. Traditionally, this haldi has been used for healing purposes. Last year it got GI tag, but it remains in the news. Take. So GI tags, focus on the GI tags first of all, which are that particular year that have come, or the GI tags, even the old GI tags 1 to 2 or old GI tags, but which are having some names from which you cannot infer that from which state they belong to. Now let us see some historical things, and this is a important one. The first one is Pingali Venkaya. Pingali Venkaya. Achha, first of all, in history, what you need to keep in mind. In history, now UPSC is asking some very unorthodox question. Why? Because this whole spectrum and this whole common modern history is now oversaturated. They have asked more than enough questions. So now they are going into the new areas of the history. New areas of the history means the areas which are not present in the conventionally, which we don't read. Hence, it becomes important for us to prepare specifically those facts which are there in the current affair, at least. For example, in August, every year in August, someone, for example, this year, Venkaya Naidu has paid tribute to the freedom fighter, Pingali Venkaya. So we need to know about him. So he was the freedom fighter who has given the design of this tricolor flag. Some changes were there later on, but he was the one who has given the basic design of this flag. He was a polymath. He was not only this about this flag and all. He knew a lot of geology, education, agriculture, language. Okay, also known as the Jhanda Venkaya. Now, let us see few things that were added into our national flag. So, this was the flag which he basically designed. So, it was a charkha, not chakra first. Plus, you can see the colors arrangement as well. So, Ramchand Guha says that in 1931, Congress committee has changed the red band to saffron. So, red band has been changed to saffron. Then, what they have done? Ultimately, the coloring scheme also changed. In between, the white came, green became down, and the saffron became the up. Then, later on, after independence, flag committee was set up under the Rajendra Prasad, and they have replaced this charkha with the Ashok Chakra. So, what you need to keep in mind, when Pingali Venkaya has given the flag, has given his own design of the flag, he has shown his design of the flag to Gandhi ji. Okay? Then his design was like this. Now it became like this. Okay? Orange, white, and green. So we need to keep in mind this thing, that what are the changes that have come into our flag. Well, you can expect one small question on this as well. Acha, he was also known as the Cotton Venkaya because he spent a lot of time researching upon the different staples variety of cotton as well. Okay? Next is Mahatma Ayankali. Now, Mr. Modi, few years back, has done whole speech, 1 hour whole speech on Mahatma Ayankali. And this year he has tweeted about him. So, Mahatma Ayankali is basically contemporary of Narayan Guru. Similar to him, he was also a social activist, Dalit activist. He was born in the princely states of Travancore, nowadays Kerala, and he faced a lot of caste discrimination there. He belonged to a lower community, that is the Pulaya community, and he fought against this social discrimination that is happening against them. For example, access to the public place, entry to the schools, the very basic human rights that are denied to them, the very basic human dignity that is denied to them. Okay? Importantly, he formed the Sadhu Jan Paripalpana Sangham, SJPS, Sadhu Jana Paripalpana Sangham, and he offered to organize the depressed class, particularly the untouchables. It predates the national movement, especially the works of the people like B.R. Ambedkar. So before B.R. Ambedkar and lot of other Dalit activists were there, he was there. So in Kerala, you have the high caste, that is Nayars, and the others, Nambudripad and all these. And you have the lower caste such as Pulaya, Ijava. These are the lower castes. Next, that is Abhinendranath Tagore. Okay, so Abhinendranath Tagore, 150th anniversary of the Abhinendranath Tagore has been celebrated. National Gallery of the Modern Art have organized a virtual tour of the great maestro, that is the Abhinendranath Tagore, celebrating his 150th birth anniversary. Hence, Abhinendranath Tagore becomes important. When we talk about Abhinendranath Tagore becomes important, then your whole Swadeshi movement, whole paintings of the Abhinendranath Tagore in the art and culture, all these things become very, very important. He was a maestro. Along with the paintings, he also has written a lot. For example, just need to remember the name: Raj Kahini, Kher Putul, and Budu Angla. Now, before going good, let us understand the family tree of Tagore's. Very brief. For some of them we must know in our preparation. So the first is the Dwarka Nath Tagore. Dwarka Nath Tagore was an industrialist. He worked with the Britishers way back. He has 3 sons. 2 of them are not important. One of the son was Debendranath Tagore, that we know from Brahmo Samaj. Debendranath Tagore, who had a conflict with the Keshav Chandra Sen in the Brahmo Samaj. Now, Debendranath Tagore has a lot of children. 2 of them were Satyendranath Tagore and Rabindranath Tagore, the son of the Debendranath Tagore. So, Satyendranath Tagore was the first one who cracked this Indian civil services. He was the first Indian to crack this Indian civil services. And Rabindranath Tagore, everybody knows. Nobel Peace Prize in Literature, first Asian to win the Nobel Peace Prize in Literature. Nobel Literature Prize. Then Abanindranath Tagore comes where? His son, whose son, and then son. So basically, he is the nephew of the Rabindranath Tagore. Remember that. So he is next from the next generation to the Rabindranath Tagore. Hence, if the question comes, Satyendranath Tagore is the brother of the Rabindranath Tagore. Satyendranath Tagore's nephew is Abanindranath Tagore. You can make relation because they can ask you such question. Because you need to know, you know a lot of Tagores that comes in our modern history. But you need to know where this particular Tagore is in terms of the family tree. Very quickly. So Abanindranath Tagore was basically interested in the idea of combining nationalism and the arts. Tick. So showcase the nationalist feeling. And that came as a response to the works of people like Raja Ravi Verma. We will see the work of Raja Ravi Verma also somewhere. Now Raja Ravi Verma, what he has done, Raja Ravi Verma has made one style, Raja Ravi Verma, in which he combined the Western elements. We are talking about Raja Ravi Verma. He combined the Western elements along with the Indian mythological themes. He combined the Western elements with the Indian mythological themes. He was Raja Ravi Verma. Now, Abanindranath Tagore said that these themes cannot be done with the Western styles or Western style of painting. This cannot be combined. Hence, what he said, that we need to reject this. And he traced to do the same things with the new technique, with the techniques that he traced from India's past. What are these techniques? Let us see here. What are these techniques? That is the miniature paintings of the Mughal, the mural paintings of the Ajanta Ellora, the Japanese art, because at that time Asia was Asian resurgence was happening. You can recall 1905, 1904 in India, Swadeshi movement was going on. Outside the world, Japan has beaten the Russia at that juncture. So Japan was an inspiration for the country like India. That how an Asian country with a very strong sense of culture can defeat an external big power. So hence he laid the foundation of the Bengal school of painting, that is the Renaissance school or the revivalist school it is called. First modern movement of the Indian art. Very quickly. So he was versus the art of the Raja Ravi Verma, who has done, according to Abhinandan Tagore, imitative and westernized, which is unsuitable for depicting the nation's ancient paths and legend. Hence, he took the inspiration from the miniature painting, the mural painting and the Japanese art. Hence, he broke away from the tradition of the oil painting and the realistic style, which was the feature of the Western style. After the Abanindranath Tagore, very famous painter was Nand Lal Bose of the same school. So, he was a singular figure in the modern Indian art. He modernized this Mughal and the Rajput painting and Bengal school of art. He made some theme-based paintings such as Arabian Nights and Krishna Leela. At the time of Swadeshi movement, 1904-1905, he painted some of the very famous pictures. We will see this is Bharat Mata. He wanted to reduce the English influence on the Indian arts, and hence he rejected the materialistic arts of the West. So basically, he given an artistic a resistance to the idea of the in that freedom of struggle. We have discussed his literature works. Now let us see few of his paintings. For example, Passing of the Shah Jahan. This painting represents the Mughal culture. Then Bharat Mata, very famous painting. Some of the more paintings are, for example, Journey's End, My Mother and Fairy Tale illustrations. Dekho, what we need to remember? We need to remember along with these two paintings, the other name of the paintings as well. Because you can expect one question on this. Any random question they can ask, and any random painting, 3 to 4 paintings, and they can ask which of the following are the above the paintings of the Abanindranath Tagore. ठीक है? Okay. So that's the end of the session, everyone. Let us see few questions. The first question is, these are 2020 question. With reference to the cultural history of India, consider the following pairs. Parivrajaka, renunciation and wanderers. Shramana, priest with a high status. Upasaka, the lay follower of the Buddhism. Which of the following pair given above is correctly matched? Now, you can pause the video and try the answer. Now, just to clarify this question, classify this question comes into which category? Strive category. Why? Even if, and being smart also, even if you don't know about the first term and the third term, second term is very easy. You must know about the second term. The very idea when you start reading the Buddhism, Jainism, you get to know about the Shramana tradition. The Shramana tradition, everybody knows. At least you must know. If you have done a lot of test series, these questions repeat itself. Okay? So Shramana is basically the seeker who strives. He abandons his home and leads a life of the wanderer in the beginning. So Shramana tradition, Buddhism, Jainism, Ajivika, all these sects are related to the Shramana tradition. He devotes himself to controlling and limiting his desires, practicing yoga, performing various religious austerities in forest to escape death. So it is the Shramana tradition. So if you know that second one is wrong, he is not the priest with the high status, then this statement is wrong and you get the answer. You eliminate the second and you just got the answer B, because this becomes wrong, and this becomes wrong. 1 and 3 is right. Okay, let us see the next two. So Pravarjaka is also the same thing. It is also the name of the roaming ascetic. This term basically comes from an Upanishad. Okay, it's given in early Brahmanic tradition, but also applicable to the Buddhists and the Jains as well as the Hindu sannyasis. You can see. Actually, it's a name of one of the Upanishads. Then the term Upasika. Upasaka is basically the person this. For example, you have taken the refuge of the gurus, but still you have not done this. Nuns and monks you have not become. You're living, for example, as a normal person. But yes, you do follow the teachings and all these things. So you will be called a Upasika. And the female is Upasika. Okay? Chalo. So the answer is, if you play smartly, if you don't get bogged down by seeing the question, okay, what question has come, it is so tough question. No, it was an easy question. Because Shramana, you're supposed to know. If you don't know Shramana, that means after the preparation year ends, obviously, then that means that you still have a lot of work to do. And you still have a lot of questions to be solved. Because the majority of the test series that you people solve, and students solve a lot of test series in which somewhere this word does come every year. Next question is, with reference to the following culture history of India, which of the following correct description of the word paramitas? Now, this question, if we talk about, this question comes in the question category of no. When the exam was there, why? This was a tough question. It was a relatively tough question. So even if you don't know this question, don't worry a lot. Koi baat nahi. But one thing that you need to keep in mind while going forward in your next preparation, next year for example, then such questions should not be missed. For example, any question comes on this line again, for example, not directly, but paramita is one of the options, then that you are expected to know. That comes in the must category then. Because now previously UPSC has already asked that question, so you are supposed to know that. So what are these parimitas basically? Parimitas are basically the perfections whose attainment lead to the Bodhisattva path. So similar, they are basically the Bodhisattva is a concept in the Mahayana Buddhism, right? So Bodhisattva is basically, these paramitas are parallel to the idea of this Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtangika mark, not Ashtangika Yoga, Ashtangika Yoga, Ashtangika mark. Okay, so in the Theravada you can see 10 paramitas, and in the Mahayana you can see the 6 paramitas that are there. So paramitas are basically the virtues to be cultivated to become a bodhisattva. Okay, so they run parallel to your Ashtangika mark. So the answer is perfections whose attainment lead to the bodhisattva path. Next is consider the following pair. First is Worli folk painting and the state. So Worli painting Maharashtra, Kalamkari West Bengal, Fard is Rajasthan. Sorry, the answer is given. Sorry. So which is the right answer? You can avoid seeing the answer. You can try the question. Very easy question. So folk paintings, there are a few folk paintings. UPSC has already asked 1 to 2 question previous years. So there are only few folk paintings. So remember all of them. कैसे याद करना है? How can you recall these? These are comes in your strive category. Between the must and the strive category. Huh? Now, for example, make a map. Make a map. And you, in the map, identify which is where. So finally, when you see the map itself, you are able to recall. You may know the characteristics of the paintings, but you may forget which characteristics, which painting name, and which state. And this becomes a relatively tricky thing. Now, for example, the Worli painting is it is being done by the people who live at the border of the Gujarat and the Maharashtra, the very old tradition. So in India, this is the place where they are. Gujarat and Maharashtra border, and you can see very nearby to MP. So Bhimbetka. So hence their resemblance is seen as with respect to the Bhimbetka. Tribal art. It's a tribal art. So you can see the chalks are being made. The scenes are fishing, hunting, farming. These are the scenes that are there. For example, you see dancing, है ना? Hunting scenes, for example. Fishing. And you can see the background that is red or black. So mixture of rice paste, gum and water is being used to create these paintings. Then you have the fard painting. Fard paintings are basically, this is called the scroll painting. You can scroll, just open in those direction. In which the local deity such as Pabuji, for example, this is the procession of Pabuji, the local deity that is there. And that is why you can see the major themes are also the joyful and procession scenes are seen. These are the processions you can see. Very long feet of cloth, 15 feet to 30 feet long clothes are there, very long in this direction. Religious in nature and scroll type. Thick, large eyes and round faces, large eyes and the round faces. So from images, we recall a lot of things, isn't it? From images itself. And this is what you must do. Once you have seen the video, now you just revise it once and you are done. That's all. Next is the Kalamkari painting. So Kalamkari painting, from the name itself, Kalam means pen. So it's a sharp bamboo, from sharp bamboo, pointed bamboo, they made it from in the Andhra Pradesh. So they draw it from freehand, and the themes come from mythology or from nature. Later on, different designs they make, flowers, cartwheel, lotus flower and all these things. So Kalamkari is from Andhra Pradesh. Okay. So the Worli painting is from Maharashtra, your fart painting is from Rajasthan, and Kalamkari from Andhra Pradesh. And the corresponding to that was the answer. Let's go to the next question. With reference to the Fatehpur Sikri, consider the following statement. The city palace was built entirely of the red sandstone. It was built in the first half of the 16th century. It has the only secular structures like the palace and the administrative building. Fatehpur Sikri, very important city when it comes to the medieval history and art and culture as well. A lot of architectural marvels are present there, especially during the reign of the Akbar. Okay, and when we talk about Akbar, then how can it be the first half of the 16th century? Now, very quickly, so Fatehpur Sikri location you can see very by near to Agra in the state of UP. So it was a capital of the Mughal Empire from 1571 to 1585. The name Sikri comes from a village that is there, and the Fatehpur name comes from Fateh. Fateh means victory. Fateh means victory. So it was a Akbar's victory that was there in the Gujarat. Then he built this Buland Darwaja in this city, that is Fatehpur Sikri. And the buildings are both religious as well as the secular buildings are there. In the religious, you have Jama Masjid, tomb of Sheikh Salim Chishti, Ibadat Khana, where the discussion used to happen, religious discussion. While you have the secular buildings, Panch Mahal and the other buildings, administrative buildings were there. So Fatehpur Sikri, that is the Panch Mahal. Then you have the Buland Darwaja. After the Gujarat campaign, he created this Darwaja. Okay? Chalo. So the answer is that it's only the first statement is wrong. First statement is right. This is wrong and this is wrong. Chalo. The last question. Let us see the last question. Which of the following are the correct with reference to the famous Hamza Nama paintings? Hamza Nama paintings. These paintings were illustrated on the paper and dried tree leaves. It was developed under the patronage of the Mughal ruler Akbar. You can pause the video and try the answers. So what is our focus basically in this sessions, in this art and culture session specifically? In terms of the 5 questions that we give, we'll try to use first of all the previous year questions plus the learn through questions. Will try to give a lot of content as well, so that we also cover a bit of territory of the art and culture, and also help you to identify that what are the important topics, and through demonstration effect you will also understand which are the areas we can focus on when we prepare for the art and culture, है ना? It becomes easy for you as well. Okay, right. So Hamza Nama is a commissioned by Akbar. It was a painting commissioned by Akbar. It was based upon the story of the uncle of the Mr. Hamza, who was the uncle of the Prophet Muhammad. And basically these were the oral traditions. For example, tomorrow someone makes paintings based upon Panchatantra. Now, it's a book basically, but it's the oral tradition that continues, the mythology, stories and all. So the oral traditions finally being documented in a book commissioned by the Akbar. These illustrations are done on the clothes, so that we need to keep in mind. So they are not done on the paper and the dry tree leaves, but they are done on the paper, and under the patronage of the Akbar it is being done. So with this we finish our session. Let us quickly revise what we have done. We started a discussion on the Lingaraj temple. So Lingaraj temple, type of the Kalinga architecture. Then we have seen the Onam festival. Onam festival, we have seen the different types of things that are there in the Onam festival. Then Pulikali, one of the tiger dance. Then Pokali rice and that particular variety that we have seen. Then Khandamal Haldi. Then Pingali Venkaya, Mahatma Ayankali. Then within the Abhinandranath Tagore, we read about the Tagore family, Abanindranath Tagore, Bengal School of Painting, the different paintings of the Abanindranath Tagore. Then 5 questions we have done, है ना? 2 previous year question, Paramitas and Pravarjaka and Sharmana, Upasaka. And then Warli painting, Kalamkari and Fart painting. And finally 2 questions on Fatehpur Sikri and Hamza Nama. With this we finish our session, and art and culture is done. Next session will be on the defense, and then science and tech 2 sessions, and we'll finish it very soon. Thank you everyone.